All right, now I'm on second, so I go to third easily. And there's nothing, you think about this. There's 55,000 people in the stand. We're next to LaGuardia Airport, because we see planes going off all the time. It's loud there. You can't hear nothing. You can't hear anything. Sorry, double negative. So I go in the third base. I'm rounding third, and I'm looking at Eddie Yost, and he's right next to me. He's probably this far from me. He's yelling at me to go. I can't hear him. Yeah, he's screaming at me. Go, I can't hear him. I looked over it'll be my left shoulder, I think, and I saw the ball going out to second, and then I end up scoring a run.
Today we have the privilege of speaking with a true baseball legend. Our guest today is Rod Gaspar, a name that will forever be etched in today's history. Major League Baseball, born on April 3rd, 1946 in Long Beach, California. Rod began his professional baseball career after being drafted by the New York Mets in the third round of the 1967 MLB draft. Known for his speed and defensive skills in the outfield, Rod quickly ascended through the Mets minor league system, making his MLB debut on April 12th, 1969. Rod was a key player for the Mets during their miraculous run in 1969 season, a year and one that was unforgettable in the World Series victories in the history of sports. A reserve outfielder, and his contributions were instrumental in what would become known as the Miracle Man's triumph. Although primarily known for his defensive abilities, Rod contributed clutch hits and timely plays throughout the season, solidifying his place on the championship roster. After his time with the Mets, Rod went on to play for the San Diego Padres and Montreal Expos before retiring for professional baseball. Beyond his career, he remained involved in baseball, coaching and scouting at various levels. Rod's legacy ascended beyond his statistics. He is remembered for the dedication to the game, his role in the Mets' historic season, and continuing impact on the baseball community. Throughout his career, he exemplified dedication, skills, and the kind of team spirit that defines championships. We're thrilled to have him on the show to share his journey, insights, and some incredible stories from his time on the field. Please welcome to the show, World Series champion, Rod Gaspar.
Thank you, Noah.
Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
I know you had a long drive to get here.
Yes, my neighbor, 2 houses down from us.
Yeah, that's right, 2 houses down. So what high school did you go to?
Lakewood High School.
Lakewood High School. And
I graduated in 1964.
And you went to junior college before you went to state?
Long Beach City College.
Yeah, that's right.
I played 1 year there in 1965. And then Bob Westhoff, the head baseball coach at Long Beach State, recruited me to come over there and gave me a scholarship to come there. At that time, the scholarship was probably worth $100 a year. I don't know. But, it was all paid for, books, tuition. And so played there in 1966 and 1967, and 1966, 1967, after I was at Long Beach City. And when I was at Long Beach City, I just, like I said, just graduated from Lakewood High School. And while I was in high school, I was nothing special. I mean, I could play, I could compete with the bigger guys, but I was like 5'9", 135 pounds, and wasn't anything special in high school because I was still growing. Now, when I got out and went to Long Beach City College, I went out for the team there, made the team, and I started growing a little bit, and ended up that first and only year I played at Long Beach City College that I led the team in hitting, one of the top hitters in the league average-wise, and was on the all-league team. And from that, I got a lot of notice, and Mr. Westhoff, Bob Westhoff at Long Beach State, recruited me to come play there in 1966 and 1967. And in 1966, as a sophomore at Long Beach State, I was drafted by the Mets in the 10th round, I think it was, somewhere. And I hit like 390 something, one of the best college outfielders in the country at that time. And I really enjoyed playing ball at Long Beach State College. It was a lot of fun, and I said, well, if they offer me $20,000, I'll sign. Well, they offered me $12,000, And I said, nah, I'm going to go back to school. And my parents were right there. You know, they'd never seen $12,000 in their life, and I turned it down.
And you were still an outfielder? Going into college, you were an outfielder?
Yes, center field,
yeah,
normally. So I turned down the money in '66. My parents, I think, were upset with me because I turned that money down. But I wanted to go back to school. Next year, you know, went to Long Beach State again, hit well again. And then this time, I have to correct you on a couple things here. This time, the Mets draft me in the second round of the draft in '67, secondary round. And I figured, well, you know, I'll get my $20,000 this year. You know, so they come into the house to sign me. Nelson Burbrink, head scouting director for the Mets at the time, and D. Fondy, former player in the big leagues with the old Brooklyn Dodgers and Chicago Cubs. And guess what they offered me? $12,000.
$12,000.
And I was ticked, you know, and I said, you got to be kidding me. And so we negotiated, didn't last long, and because they knew I wanted to sign. These scouts, they're not stupid, at least when it comes to negotiate with young punk amateur baseball players. And so I was ready to go. I was ready to sign. So I did sign for the money and college education, and went to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, home of the Little League World Series, which was the Mets AA club that year.
Nice. And then for switch hitting, when did you start switch hitting?
Oh, I was probably 12, 13 years old, and I was always a good athlete. I could always compete with the bigger guy because I was little. You know, I got my driver's license. I was 5'2", 105 pounds. You don't think I had a chip on my shoulder?
Yeah.
So that chip really drove me. I always had that fire in my belly. And I was real small in high school, and like I said, I wasn't anything special, but I could compete with a bigger guy. But when I got to Long Beach City, I started growing, getting stronger, and you know, I bypassed, I'm not being cocky, but I bypassed all the players. I mean, I was, you know, because I had a lot of natural ability that God gave me. So, and then of course I went to Long Beach State. I was still growing till, you know, I got to be 6 foot and then 150 pounds, and end up, like I just said, you know, signing after the '67 season with the Mets.
Yeah, for me, when I graduated high school, I was 6'2", pretty tall, but I was 140, so I was pretty light. Yeah, going to East LA Junior College.
Right.
Yeah, and then after my first year, I think I gained, you know how they say freshman 15, but I gained freshman like 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good baseball frame.
Yeah. So your nickname origin was, they called you Hot Rod?
Oh, I've had a few, yeah, probably, and you know, names for my speed too. I could run pretty well. You know, quickness. I was very quick. I don't know how fast I was, but played center field. You know, I knew how to get a good jump on the baseball.
Yeah, of course, your speed on the base pass and your lively personality in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I guess so. For a rookie, I got a lot of publicity during the World Series. Pictures and New York Times, New York Post, different things, pouring champagne over the mayor's head in '69. A few of us did that, but you know, I didn't know any better. I was just having fun.
And then for musical talent, you love to listen to jazz music?
No.
Okay. So
I didn't care for music too much.
Yeah. So on the internet, it said that you liked jazz music and you played the saxophone, quite skilled on saxophone, but I'm sure that's wrong.
Where'd you get that? No.
Guess that's
wrong.
Okay. Yeah, we can cross.
I guess I should say yeah, but no,
we can cross that on out. Yeah. So after baseball, you've furthered your education in business and management?
Well, I got into the insurance business when I got out into the 1976 season, started selling life insurance. And I remember my first client was Tony Musier, and he played pro ball for a long time, managed in the big leagues with Kansas City for a while. And he found out I was in the insurance business, so I called him and told him, and he said, "You're selling life insurance?" He started laughing at me. Mm-hmm. Went over there, and he bought a policy from him, my first policy. I said, if I can sell Musier, I can sell anybody, you know. So And I've been doing it now since, let me see, started in this November of 76. What are we now? 2024, about 48 years. And it's a good business. You're helping people. That's the main thing.
So you're a dedicated family man. I know. When was the year you met your wife?
Met her in 1970. Went to spring training. First year, I didn't play baseball year-round in my whole life. I used to play in Long Beach year-round for the Long Beach Rockets at Blair Field. You probably know where Blair Field is, right? In Long Beach?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Played there all the time. Used to play year-round. So after we won the World Series, I was 23 years old, young and single, and not the brightest guy in the world. After looking back at my, what things I did, but I did not play winter ball that year. And Gil Hodges, our manager, wanted me to go down to Venezuela and play winter ball down there. I said, man, I'm not going down there. I was in the World Series. I'll be in the big leagues for the next 10 years. It didn't happen. I go to, in that off season, Noah, twice I was in Europe within 2 weeks. Once, which, surprised you didn't see this on there. Once was Wayne Garrett, our third baseman, Kenny Boswell, our second baseman, and I were the only single guys on the team. The three of us were on the dating game. Do you remember that program?
No.
In the 60s, the dating game.
What channel?
Look it up. Jim, all you got to do is on the internet type in 1969 Mets on dating games, something to that effect. They have the whole thing on there. People started sending me actual videos of us being on the dating. But I was there, and then I was and we went to Zurich, Switzerland, and then a few weeks later, some organization had a trip for some of the Mets. Myself, Garrett, Bobby File, Jerry Grody. I think some others, I'm not sure. Lindsey Nelson, our announcer for us, he was a national sports announcer. Lindsey Nelson, you can look him up too. And we had, went on another trip there. Come back in late January, go to Florida in February, not in shape, hadn't picked up a baseball all winter, and I was terrible. In spring training in 1970, I had trouble catching a fly ball, especially in that Florida sun. It's pretty tough. And so I ended up being the last guy getting cut in 1970 from the Mets. And it just so happened that I made the ball club in 1969 on my birthday, April 3rd, and I was sent down on my birthday, April 3rd, 1970. But the next day I met my bride, Sheridan. And we ended up getting married 7/7/70. Good numbers, huh?
Yeah, really good.
And we're into our 54th year of marriage.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you had a son, Cade, that ended up getting drafted by the Detroit Tigers?
Yes, and he was drafted out of Pepperdine.
Yeah, shortstop pitcher.
Yeah, he'd rather play pitcher, he'd rather be a shortstop and hit than pitch, but he had such a good arm.
Yeah.
And he was Detroit's #1 draft pick in 1994. We thought that the Angels were going to pick him in the first round. They had the 6th overall pick. They called us the night before, I came over the night before the draft and said, yeah, we're going to pick Cade and all that. But they wanted me to give a number about how much bonus money that we would take. They offered Cade $700,000.
A little more than 12.
Yeah, a little more at the time. And I said, you guys draft Cade, like you said, in the 6th round, and then we'll talk about it. They said, oh, okay. Next day they didn't draft him. That was our first lie in professional baseball. The Angels, they didn't draft him. But that's I understood. I knew. Ended up meeting the guys who were the general manager at the time with the Angels, Buzzy Bavasi and the Bavasi family, Peter Bavasi, who ended up become general manager of San Diego Padres when I played for them a little bit. So, but he ended up getting drafted by Detroit in the, I think, 14th round or 17th round, something. And
Still got drafted.
I'm sorry?
It still got drafted. That's all that matters, right?
First round.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I guarantee you, son, not that money was was that important to us, but, you know, money is important. I said, we're going to get you more than $700,000. He got 8.25 to sign with Detroit in the 17th round. Same time we were negotiating with them at our house, they were negotiating, I found this out later, with another kid that they end up taking with the 6th overall pick, and he had agreed to the 700. So this kid got 700 at number 6 draft choice, and Cade got 8.25 at number 17 or whatever. But that's here nor there. But
yeah.
Worked out well for him also, except when he hurt his arm and then he was done.
Yeah. So for the audience, I mean, I know what the Miracle Mets is and why they called it the Miracle Mets. So in 1969, why were they called the Miracle Mets?
Well, first of all, before the season started, we were 100-1 shots, according to Vegas, I guess, or whoever makes the odds, to win. And we had, if you want to call it, a bunch of no-name guys on the team, except for Tom Seaver, and later on, well, Nolan was on the team. Nolan Ryan, he was on the team. But those are probably the only two guys that people remember. They remember Yogi Berra, our first base coach, and Gil Hodges, you know, our manager, both Hall of Famers. But we started the season like every season before. We lost our opening day for the 7th straight year to the Montreal Expos, a expansion club. And I had a good game. I was 2 for 5, drove in a run, scored a run, stolen base. But I ended up striking out in the bottom of the 9th inning. We were down 11-10 with a tying run on second base. And to this day, I remember the guy's name, Carol Cimbera. He was one of these 3-quarter guys, you know, had the ball sink and go away. And I'm hitting left-handed against him. And he had 2 strikes on me. And I was a good contact hitter. I didn't strike out very often. And he threw me a ball that, boom! And to this day, I still think it was a spitball. You know, because you put stuff on the ball, it does all kinds of things.
It's a little easy to sneak in back then, yeah.
But
not so much today.
Then, you know, we started playing pretty good ball. And we were 500 until, I think, in May, we finally got to 500 ball. So we were like 3rd, 4th place. And, you know, all of a sudden, we went on a road trip to Houston and another club. And Houston was the only club, the Houston Astros, they were in the National League at the time. They were the only club that had a season-winning series against us. I think they won 10 games and we only won 2 against them. Everybody else we beat. I think except for Cincinnati, we were 6-6 with them. So we go into Houston and they sweep us. We come home and we're 9.5 games out of first place. And this is in August, like August 15th or something. And we went on a winning streak. Dodgers come in, swept them. Padres come in, swept them. And we took off, Noah, in the last 40, I think it was 47 or 48 games, we won 38 games, bypassing the Chicago Cubs. Leo DeRocher was the manager of the Cubs. Ernie Banks played for him. Billy Williams, Ferguson Jenkins, all Hall of Famers, but they were older. You know, they had fielded a team that's 29, 30 years old. We could field a team that was 24 years old. And I think what happened is that DeRocher, you know, he played those older guys, you know, the whole year. And there was all day games at that time. And it's hot in Chicago in the summertime. I think he wore them out. We were fresh. And we blew by them, end up winning by 9 games. And I think we were 100 wins, 62 losses after the season was over with.
Who's probably like the hardest pitcher you've ever faced?
Me?
Yeah.
They're all tough. You know, I remember a guy, Tom Griffin with the Houston Astros. Man, he had a nasty slider, threw hard. But their whole pitching staff did. You know, Larry Durker, I mean, that Wilson, what was Wilson's first name? Oh, heck. They were nasty.
And the guns weren't really accurate back then, too, so they're probably either throwing harder or slower.
Well, they threw hard. Yeah. I don't think they throw as hard as these guys nowadays.
Yeah, told me how to.
These guys nowadays have a bunch of injuries all the time. Those guys then, they'd pitch 10, 11, 12 innings. Yeah. Remember, 2 games, especially pitcher pitching extra innings. One, We were playing San Francisco, and a pitcher named Juan Marichal, who's in the Hall of Fame, he went 12 innings against us. 12. You couldn't take those guys out. They wouldn't come out of the game. And we beat him in 12 innings. Another game, playing against Bob Gibson. Remember that name? St. Louis Cardinals, Hall of Famer. He went 14 innings against us, and we beat him in the 14th inning on a home run by Tommy Agee. So, and they, the manager tried to take Gibson out. He wouldn't come out. Nowadays, where the guys go 5 innings, that's a quality start,
yeah.
Whatever that means. I never got an idea what a quality starts to mean, what it means. And then if a guy throws 100 pitches, he's throwing great. That's a great game. You threw 100 pitches and he lasts 5-6 innings. We were in brings me a story about Nolan. We were back in New York a number of years ago, and for a Mets reunion type thing. And Nolan was there, and he normally didn't come to the reunions. But there were half the guys were sitting in the first base clubhouse being introduced. The other half were on the third base side. Well, I was on the third base side, and Nolan was on the third base side, and 10 other guys. So guys are asking a ball player, my teammates are asking Nolan questions, and one guy said, "Hey, Nolan, what's the most pitches you ever threw in a game?" What do you think his answer was?
Probably like 150, 200.
240 pitches.
240.
Yeah, this guy in the 9th inning, he threw harder than he did in the first inning. But he was he's a freak, and I mean that in a nice way, of nature, because he's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
But he just had that body. He knew how to take care of himself. His arm didn't go out till he was 45 or 46 years old. 240 pitches. That's
240 pitches
that's 4 games.
Yeah, that's 4 games for today. But yeah. Why do you think that though? Like the old pitchers throwing more and less injuries, and then today more.
Well, I'll give you a good example of why I think. One is that they threw a lot. They threw long distance.
Yeah.
Our son Cade, when he was 13 years old, he and I would go over to the Little League field right here.
Yep.
South Michigan Little League field. In the wintertime, 3 times a week from age 13 to age 20 when he signed, and throw long distance. I'm talking long distance. I'd get a fungo once he was warmed up, and I'd hit the ball as far as I could with the fungo, which may be 300 feet, and this guy would throw a rocket back to me, head high.
Yeah.
Head high. I mean, a rocket, from 300 feet. Strong arm. I mean, he weighed 170 pounds, 6'3", 170, which is probably about what you are now, maybe a little more. But, I mean, he had a rocket for an arm, but we threw all the time. And I think what happens nowadays, they don't throw enough. That's the main thing. But then they get in a program, at least before, now I think it's better, a weight program that these organizations want to bulk you up to get you big and strong. That's so bad for starting pitchers, especially. You got to stay loose through here.
Yeah, loose
through
and
the
mobile,
chest and the shoulders.
flexible, yeah.
And Kate always was, until Detroit brought him back one off season and had him do weightlifting. And that started hurting his arm because he was tied up here. So, he changed his motion, done.
Yeah, not so much of building muscle, more of maintaining if you do lift, right?
Yeah, you got to know how to do it and stretch, but the key is you got to throw.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm a big, and I watch, people don't throw long distance. People think long distance is 60 feet or 90 feet. Nah. You got to stretch that baby out.
Yeah, my dad's a big believer.
That's right. He knows.
Toss, yeah.
He was a pitcher.
Yeah.
I know.
So a couple of the stats for your 1969 starting right fielder that became a utility outfielder. Also played left, center, and center field occasionally after Ron Swoboda.
Mm-hmm.
Became the regular right fielder that year. He hit 228, on base percentage was 313, slugging was 279, and he hit your only major league home run off Mike McCormick off the San Francisco Giants on May 30th. Tell me about that home run.
Awesome numbers, huh?
Yeah. 300
on base percentage. I was, the first week of the season, I was playing regularly, hitting well, hitting over 400. I had 2 0 for 4 games, one against Bob Gibson won against a guy named Dave Justy for the Cardinals. I didn't think anything of 0 for 4, because when I was in minor leagues, I did that, and I was always playing. Wasn't in the minor leagues. So Hodges, sat me down, and from then on, I didn't, play regularly. And I'm, like most ball players, we always feel if we play regularly, we're going to hit a lot better. And I knew I could hit a lot better. I knew I could hit at least 270 or 280 in the big leagues. Never did, because I never played regular after that first week. But because of my defense, I stayed with the club. And but before we get to that, I'll answer your question. I remember McCormick, Mike, I ended up playing with him in Hawaii a number of years later, but he had won the Cy Young Award the previous year or the year before that. I'm not sure which, 67 or 68. And they come into Shea Stadium, and of course when San Francisco, which was formerly the New York Giants, and the Dodgers, which was formerly the Brooklyn Dodgers, come into New York, the house is packed, 55,000 people there. So McCormick pitching, and I didn't think I was going to play that game because he was a left-hander. And Gil Norman didn't play me then against left-handers. So I was out. Here's my excuse. I was out the night before all night. Okay, didn't sleep. Come to the ballpark, and Hodges has my name in the lineup. I'm going, I'm ticked, man. Like, I'm tired, So, but I learned in playing baseball over the years, eventually, not just from that night, but from other times, how to play when you're tired with no sleep. And you actually kind of play better because it makes you focus.
Yeah, immensely focused.
Yeah, and I remember playing against Mike, and he got me out the first 2 times up. I think the second time I hit a hard line drive between third and short, third baseman gobbled it up. Shea Stadium was built on a marsh, and the grass was real slow, and wet, infield and outfield. And I was ticked coming into the dugout. And so in the 7th inning, I lead off the 7th inning, and I forget what the count was, but I remember the pitch, a low-end fastball, and I hit it into the bullpen in left field. We end up getting, I think, 3 runs that inning to go ahead, 3-2, and I think we either won 3-2 or 4-3. So I started that rally, but I was a platoon player, but I still played in 120 games. I remember Gil said one time, he's on an airplane, he says, okay, list the top 5 guys on the team who have played the most games. And nobody thought I had, but I was like 5th on the team. I played in 120 games that year.
Yeah, I believe you when you said you play better when you're retired or when something else is happening.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when I was playing at Eli, it was in the fall, and me and my buddies went out to go drink and all that. So we were a little bit hungover, not the best, but I ended up almost hitting the cycle. Yeah. And I was hit like 2 off the wall, 2 triples, but yeah, I was so close from the cycle.
And that's a good point, because I always used to say, and I still do, if you think you're tired, you're tired. You don't think that way. Yeah. And because if you're tired, you're on edge anyways, and it kind of pumps you up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I hit off Mike. He and I were teammates a few years later in Hawaii, and he never did bring that up to me. I don't even know if he remembered I hit a home run off of him.
And then you also led the Mets outfielders in assist with 12, leading the National League in double plays with 6.
That's right.
Tell me how that went, because I know it's hard to turn double plays, especially in the outfield.
Yeah, there was a game in San Francisco I think it was the end of May or something, and Willie McCovey, remember that name? Played with Willie Mays, who recently passed away.
Yes.
McCovey's in the Hall of Fame too. First base, big, tall, lanky guy, about 6'6". Probably the best hitter in the National League that year. I think it was MVP. He was up, and Tug, our relief pitcher, Tug McGraw, who is, I don't know if you're a country music guy, but his son is Tim McGraw. Are you familiar with him?
Not too sure. I'm barely getting into country music, but I enjoy it.
Look him up. But anyways, that's another story for you. Tug was coming to pitch in the game, and we were, let me think here. I think it was tied in the 8th inning, and I was playing left field, and McCovey was up. And so we had the McCovey shift on, which Sabota was in right field. He was over by the right field line. Tommy Agee was in center field. He was like in right center, and I was in left center field. I mean, I was way off the left field line. So Tug throws McCovey a screwball, which Tug was famous for, and McCovey just kind of stuck his bat out left-handed and hit like a 9-iron shot down the left field line. McCovey was a left-handed hitter. Hit it down the left field line, and at the time in San Francisco they played at Candlestick Park, which was right on the bay, and it was awful there. It was always muggy and wet and rainy, and the field was wet. And I remember he hit that ball, and it bounced, just inside the foul line, right in front of the warning track. Down the line, I think the sign there said down the left field line was 340 feet. So he probably hit it 325, maybe, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So everybody thought the game was over because this was the ninth inning. It wasn't the eighth inning; it was the ninth inning. And so McCovey hit it. A guy named Bob Burda was on first, and he took off. And there's one out, thinking, he's going to score easy, even though there's one out. He knew I wasn't going to catch it. The ball's laying there in the grass. I pick it up bare hand, which a lot of these kids nowadays they don't do. They use their glove and then they drop the ball. I pick it up barehanded, plant my left foot, pivot, and hopped and threw blindly to home plate because I knew the guy was going to try to score. And I threw a strike to Jerry Grody at home plate. It shocked Grody so much that he thought it was the third out of the inning. So you know how catchers third out, they flow the ball back to the pitchers. Now they roll it back,
Yeah.
And Don Clendenin, our first baseman, always heads up. Like Grody is a very heads up player. He saw what Grody did. He runs, to the mound to pick up the ball, and Grody run at the same time. Clendenin picked it up, threw to Bobby File at third base. McCovey's trying to go to third, tag him out, double play. That was one of the 6 double plays. Next inning, Clendenin, our first baseman, hits a home run when we win the ball game. But we did games like that all year. Our team batting average, I think, was 246. But if you think about that, 246, they couldn't hit. Well, we hit in clutch situations, and we'd win games 3-2 and 1-0, and so on and so forth. I remember one doubleheader we had against Pittsburgh. I think is Don Cardwell won the first game. Jerry Koosman won the second game. Both games were 1-0. You know who knocked in the only run each game? Cardwell, the starting pitcher in the first game, and Koosman, the starting pitcher in the second game. That's the kind of team we had.
Oh, man, yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, incredible. We would win the close game. We didn't choke. No way. There wasn't no olives stuck in our throats, at least that year.
Yeah. So who are your go-to guys on the team? Like Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan? Or
Seaver. Yeah, and Clendenin. Tom was only 24. He's only a year older than I was.
Yeah.
The go-to guy was Gil Hodges, the manager.
Yeah.
He was tough as nails, but good, smart. We knew what our job was. He didn't have to tell us what to do ahead of time. He
knew what you needed to do.
Oh, he was he ran like a business. He was a boss, and we all answered to him. Nowadays, it's the other way around. As you know, the players and the agents are the bosses, the managers are the puppets of the front office and everybody else. Yeah. But you can see I'm not real happy with today's game. But
yeah, we'll get into that. I got a question for that too. Yeah.
I still love the game. I love the game the way we played it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So before the World Series, the '69 World Series, playing against the Orioles, do you remember what Frank Robinson said?
Yeah, he says, "Who is Ron Gaspar?" And Merv Redeman said, "It's Gaspar, stupid." And Frank said, "Well, who is Rod Stupid?" or something like that.
So I got bring on the Mets and Ron Gaspar.
Yeah.
He was then told by his teammate Merv Redmond,
"Right,
it's Rod Stupid." Then he repeated himself by saying, "Okay, bring on Rod Stupid."
Well, I got some of it right anyway. Not all.
He had a couple of beef with them.
We opened the series in Baltimore. And Clendenin would like to, stir the pot a little bit. He grabbed me This guy, big guy. I say, yeah, okay, what do you want? Yeah, I want you to meet somebody. So he knew Robinson. So he takes me over to meet Frank. And I look at him, and he looks at me, and I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to me. So that was my introduction to Robinson. But what a player he was. Oh, man, hard nose. You got to look at a video of him taking out trying to take out Buddy Harrelson, our shortstop, during the World Series. I think it's the third or fourth game. If the slide, he went in. I mean, he went in, shoulder first. But thankfully, Buddy was able to jump over him. But if you see this video, if they did this nowadays, there's somebody would throw the base runner in jail. I mean, that's how nasty it was. Frank was a hard-nosed player. I love the guy as a player. I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah.
Tough.
So I'm sure you told this story a million times in all of your interviews. So tell me in Game 4 of the series when you scored the winning run.
Okay, I was on second base. J.C. Martin was up. He was pinch hitting for Tom Seaver, and Gil had him sacrifice bunting. There were no outs. So it moved me to third with less than 2 outs. J.C. and Pete Rickert was a pitcher for Baltimore. And J.C., I mean, we could bunt then. I don't know if these guys nowadays know how to bunt, but J.C. laid, just rear around, pitch a bat out front, hit a perfect bunt down the first base side. The catcher, Elrod Hendricks, and the pitcher, Rickert, both converged on the ball. Rickert picked it up, and he was a left-handed pitcher. And he threw to first, and it hit J.C. on the wrist right before he got to the bag. And the ball started going towards second base. All right, now I'm on second, so I go to third easily. And there's nothing, you think about this. There's 55,000 people in the stand. We're next to LaGuardia Airport. So we see planes going off all the time. It's loud there. You can't hear nothing. You can't hear anything. Sorry, double negative. So I go on the third base. I'm rounding third, and I'm looking at Eddie Yost, and he's right next to me. He's probably this far from me. He's yelling at me to go. I can't hear him. Yeah, he's screaming at me. Go, I can't hear him. I looked over it'll be my left shoulder, I think, and I saw the ball going out to second, then I end up scoring a run. In fact, I got a drawing, our daughter Taylor, who lives in Texas now, her husband, a friend, she knows somebody, but he did a drawing of that, and I got it in the house. I'll show it to you sometime when you come over.
Yeah.
But that was, and the first guy to greet me was Seaver.
So if you watch the first one, rapid fire Hall of Fame questions, that's what I called it. I made that up.
Okay.
Yeah, going back in.
Okay.
So rapid fire Hall of Fame Q&A questions. Speed is, so we're going to tell you about the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Speed is key. Answer each question as quickly as possible. No
Okay.
skipping. Answer every question in order that it's asked. Be honest. Give the first answer that comes to mind. And the guest with the shortest time to answer all the questions wins the title of the Rap Hoff until the next podcast. So Jim Campanis got 4:45. So let's see if you can beat 4:45.
4:45 what?
4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How many questions are there? Must be a lot.
Yeah, there's 29.
Okay.
I cut it down just a little bit.
That's okay.
All right. What's your favorite ballpark food?
Hot dog.
What's the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
All of them.
What's your go-to song before a game?
None.
Favorite stadium you played in?
Shea Stadium in New York.
Best piece of advice you ever received?
Hustle at all times.
What's the most memorable home run you ever hit?
The home run off Mike McCormick at Shea Stadium to help win the ball game for the Mets over the Giants in 1969.
Most challenging part of being a professional baseball player?
Staying in at night. Get your rest.
Yeah. Favorite pregame meal?
Didn't have any. Nothing.
Best city for an away game?
Chicago, Cubs, Wrigley Field. Because we had day games, so we'd go out at night.
Pregame ritual or superstitions?
None.
What's your favorite baseball movie?
Probably, no, but that's a tough, Robert Redford one. I forget the Natural.
Natural?
Yeah.
Who was your baseball idol growing up?
Mickey Mantle.
Best prank you pulled on a teammate?
I didn't pull mine. They pull them on me, but I didn't pull them on them.
The rookie.
Yeah.
What's your favorite non-baseball sport?
Non-baseball sport? I don't really have any favorite sports. I really don't.
Yeah. Most embarrassing moment on the field?
That's a tough one. I have had a few. I'll tell you a story about some older guy in Louisville when we're done here, though.
Do you prefer day games or night games?
I like day games. That's how baseball should be played in the daytime.
Go out and night games. Yeah. What's your favorite TV show?
Don't have one.
Your biggest rival team?
The Cubs, and when we were in National League, I was playing there.
Favorite vacation destination?
Hawaii.
Same.
Yeah.
What's your favorite hobby outside of baseball?
Handball. I'm a handball player, not racquetball. Not that's that's for what, but handball.
What current player do you enjoy watching the most?
Oh, Mike Trout. Easy.
Favorite baseball uniform design that you ever worn or seen?
Our Met uniform, the home uniform. I have it at home.
Do you have a lucky charm or item that you played with, like a necklace or? No. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate burnt almond.
If you could hit BP off of any historical figure, who would it be?
Sandy Koufax and Nolan Ryan. I don't know if I could hit it, but that'd be fun to try.
What's one thing on your bucket list that you've accomplished or want to accomplish?
Ooh, I don't think about that. I've done a lot at a young age.
Yeah. Best advice you would give to young players?
Well, if you think you have the ability, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to negative comments from people. If you think, and if people think you have, just ignore it and just bust your butt out there.
What's your favorite part of the season and why, besides playoffs?
It's opening day. It's always fun to start the season.
And lastly, what was your nickname in the clubhouse?
Call me Rocket Rod if you want.
Rocket Rod.
Yeah. My nickname now is Rocket, by the way. And I'll tell you that story too.
You changed my name on your phone, on my phone, to Rocket.
Just a Rocket, yeah. Handball guys all call me Rocket. The Rocket. I played in Hawaii, and I remember they did an article on me, and the headline, and a lot of us on the defense. I love throwing. I'd rather throw a guy out and make a play than hit. And I could hit pretty well. Over the years, my minor league average and combined major league average was 300, mostly minor league. Major leagues didn't hit that well because I didn't play all the time. But I hit about 300, the other years I played in the minors. But Ferd Borsch, he was a sports writer for the Honolulu Advertiser in 76 or 75. He wrote an article on me. And he was talking about my defense and my arm and how I could throw guys out. And the headline was Rocket Rod. And that always stuck ever since then. That was when I was 30 years old. And guys, even nowadays, the handball guys I play with call me the Rocket.
So was that summer ball or winter ball, or what was that?
That was when I played in Hawaii in AAA in the Pacific Coast League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys play at? Oahu?
Old Honolulu Stadium, which isn't there anymore.
Aloha Stadium.
And now, Aloha, we were the first team to play there in 76. It was supposed to be open in 75, but it wasn't open until 76.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy, the groundskeeper, or the guy who ran the stadium or something, didn't want metal cleats on the turf. It was AstroTurf, it wasn't grass. I'm leading off in the first inning. They turned the lights off. The game's suspended, and we lose by forfeit. And we end up winning the PCL championship that year anyways in the playoff. But, I remember that. They turned the light, brand new stadium. They played the Aloha Bowl or whatever, the football and baseball, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I missed that stadium. They recently knocked it all down.
Aloha Stadium?
Yeah. Yeah, last time I...
Oh, you've been there then.
Yeah, I used to go every summer to Hawaii because my dad used to coach the collegiate league every summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so from when I think it was kindergarten all the way till almost high school. So every summer for like a month we used to go out there. And one of the years, I think it was 2013 or 14, my dad coached, what's his name? What was his name again? On the Dodgers. Now he's on the Diamondbacks. Oh my gosh, Jock Peterson. He coached
Peterson?
He coached Jock Peterson and Tiger Peterson, both brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, he can hit.
Yeah.
Well, I played California collegiate baseball also years ago for Joe Hicks in Long Beach.
So taking out the 1969 World Series, what was the best organization to play for? Mets, Padres, or Expos?
I didn't. That's the other thing. I did not play for the Expos.
Okay,
it was
yeah.
just the Mets and the Padres. Mets by far. Oh, not even
Mets.
close.
Yeah.
Because the Padres were struggling. When they traded me over there, they were struggling financially. The owner was C. Arnold Smith, and they were not a good organization at all. They were not. I mean, the Mets treated you great. It was like night and day. You go to San Diego, and I'm not going to badmouth them now. I've done, said things about them before, but they, then Ray Kroc, who's the owner of McDonald's, he bought the Padres from Smith, and I don't know much about him because I wasn't there that long playing for them, but he had the money to go out and buy players if he needed them.
Yeah.
But the Mets were class. Just, they gave us the best. They supported us big time. The people who owned it, Miss Joan Payson, she was part of the Whitney family, which you can look them up to. Big time wealthy family in New York, and she was married to one of the Whitneys. And she bought this. She was the only woman owner in baseball at the time. She was the only woman allowed in our clubhouse, Mrs. Payson. Sweet lady. But they treated us great. It was great. Just night and day, and them and the Padres.
So just wrapping this up, for last question, what do you think of today's baseball rules? From bigger bases, replay system, and of course, your favorite, the pitch clock.
You sure you want me to answer that question? They all stink, except I like the pitch clock, which they shouldn't have to have anyways. We played in 5 World Series games, 5 with Baltimore. Okay, you know what our longest game was?
Almost 3 hours.
2 hours 33 minutes. We had a couple games that were, I think, 2 hours 10 minutes, 2:20, but our longest, and that was the game that I scored the winning run because it was extra innings. Now these games, some of them go to 4 hours. And the pitch clock should not be necessary. And I don't know. You know this probably better than I do. Why do they wear these? What does the catcher have these things in
the
their
pitch com?
Yeah, what is that for?
Yeah, so I think they did that because the Astros were cheating, so stealing signs from the cameras from center field. So they're just relaying the pitches to the pitcher. Like, hey, they have like something on their knee saying strike, fastball, curveball, changeup. They push that, and the pitcher hears it.
So, who calls the game? The manager,
I'm
pitching
not too
coach,
sure. I think the catcher. I think the catcher. So the catcher has buttons on his knee, and then it relays it back to the pitcher.
Right.
And like what position, what pitch you want to throw, what location, just to speed up the game, and so nobody will take the signs from you.
That's crazy. But hey. That's nothing new about cheating, okay?
Yeah.
You remember Bobby Thompson when he hit that famous home run off Ralph Branca to win for the Giants in 1951 or something? Uh-huh. You probably don't. The Giants win the pennant. Giants win the pennant. Russ Hodges was yelling to the microphone. Giants win the pennant. Your dad would know. But Branca said, the pitcher who gave up the home run to Thompson, that there was somebody out in the scoreboard out there, the big old scoreboard, who was signaling signs to Thompson. So he knew he was going to get a high fastball, which he hit out, barely went out. And, down the line was only like 309 feet. And I remember Hodges saying, there's a long fly ball. And I'm going, long? The guy hit the ball 300 feet. It's a home run. The Giants win the pennant. But anyway, you ask about the pitch clock. Yes, that's probably the only thing I can agree with because they should speed up the game. And they should even do it less.
You agree for the pitch clock.
Right now, not when we played, we didn't need a pitch clock because we knew what we had to do. Our catcher, you should watch Jerry Kuzman pitch, the left-hand. He was a stud. Grody and him, man, boom. Ball comes back, 5 seconds later, it's going to home plate. You know?
The pace of the game.
Oh yeah, big time. And nowadays it's so boring. Baseball is such a boring game. It really is.
Yeah,
the way they play,
really like
especially the way they play it now.
Yeah.
Now, the catching rule, and I don't understand that one either. But it, I used to try to knock over catchers. I'm like 160 pounds. They usually knock me in my butt, But terrible rule. I mean, they should be allowed to block the play. Taking out a guy at double play. Yeah, right. I mean, there's no such thing anymore. I mean, come on, dude. Look at the, like I said, find that Robinson-Harrelson play in the World Series. You'll see it.
Yeah.
If you have a computer here, I'll show it to you. But I think he did that nowadays. He'd be thrown in jail. What's the other one? Oh, I saw one the other day. Throwing to first base to pick off a guy. If he does it more than twice, the base runner gets second base. Now, who thinks of these things?
That's so stupid. Yeah, I know.
It is so. I mean, you know why it's stupid?
Yeah.
Because the commissioner is stupid. I mean, every commissioner in every major sport I look at, no brain, not much in upstairs. I'm telling you right now, they're in it for the money and they get paid well. Look at that Goodell, the NFL commissioner. What's he get? 20 million a year, 10 million a year? I don't know. I mean, give me a break. And the guy with the baseball, he's the worst, Manfred.
Yeah.
That guy's got
Everyone
no
bags,
clue.
bags on him.
But anyway, that's my, and I think a lot of my guys in my era would agree with some of the things I say. But,
yeah. I think that's it. Thanks for showing up.
You're welcome, Noah. You're
Hope
nice.
you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're a nice young man. You do a good job, my buddy. Okay, my buddy. Good seeing you. Yeah.